All right, guys, so today we're going to be propagating some cactuses. In particular, this is a crown of thorns. We're going to walk you through how to take the cuttings, where to take the cuttings from, the process of letting them scab over, and then getting them put in pots. So let's get started. All right, so since this crown of thorn has leaves, the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and defoliate. You wouldn't normally want to do this to a cactus coming into the winter, but because I've got a greenhouse, I'm able to do this. If you're going to do propagations on any succulent or cactus at your house, and if you don't have a greenhouse, you might want to wait till the spring or into the summer. But because I got that greenhouse, it's not going to impede the growth. It's not going to hurt anything. So we're just going to go through and kind of take off some of the foliage so we can actually see the limbs of this plant. And you want to be very careful because, as you can see, it's pretty spiny. You can see how spiny this cactus is. You want to be really careful. You also want to make sure you wear gloves. If I'm going to be handling cactuses, I always wear gloves, especially with this sap. I don't know if you can see how sappy it is. If you were to get that like on an open wound or in your eyes, it can really mess you up. So just always be careful. Wear PPE whenever you're handling any type of plant that you're not familiar with. What's PPE? PPE is personal protective equipment. So like safety glasses, gloves, anything that might be, anything that might help you out if something were to fly into your face. So we're just going to go through and we're going to defoliate it a little bit. Probably leave some of the main ones up there. Like I said, if you were doing this, if you don't have a greenhouse or a place to store your cactus over winter, maybe you don't do this time of year, but because I've got a greenhouse and I got a heated garage, this is a warm garage, I can kind of do it right now. So you don't have to defoliate, and like I said, most crown of thorns aren't this bushy. This is a pretty wild variant of crown of thorns that gets super bushy. So I'm defoliating just so I can see into the plant. You can see the awesome blooms. They're so pretty. I mean, the blooms are beautiful on them. And honestly, this thing never stops blooming, like pretty much all year round. It just stays blooming. All right, y'all, that took a lot longer than I thought it would, but check this out. With all those leaves in there, you couldn't tell how spiky this guy was. And now that we've defoliated, it's time to go ahead and make our cuttings. So what I've got right here, I got a plastic tray. You're going to want something to put these on because when you cut them off, they're going to drip that white latex liquid. And I got a pair of tongs. And this is so I can grab the cuttings without stabbing myself. You can see how spiky these things are. They are gnarly as hell. I mean, this is a super gnarly, spiky cactus, but they're really beautiful. I left the top with foliage on it because I'm not going to be cutting any of that off. I'm just going to be kind of cleaning out the bottom and propagating all these cuttings. So because it has this white latex, I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way up so that all the white latex liquid isn't dripping on my hands. So we're going to start here with this big one. So we're going to take it off pretty close to the trunk. I'm going to allow for like a ½ an inch from the main trunk to allow a little bit of dieback. So we're going to go right here and make a nice clean cut. Just like that. You can see all that white sticky sap dripping out of there. You do not want that on your skin. It's not toxic unless you're allergic to latex, but it can irritate your skin and it's sticky and yucky. I don't like it. So we're going to work our way around the bottom. Like I said, leave about, a ½ an inch from the base because this end right here heals up. It's going to shrink back. So if you were to do it right up against the trunk, you might get a big old knot or it might even invite some rot in. But we're going to allow about a ½ an inch or so that it can have some dieback room. And we'll just keep going. Like I said, these tongs were for grilling. Now they're for propagating cactus. We'll go ahead and get this one. like that. And see, this one's got kind of a bigger chunk coming out of here, and we're going to be submerging these probably about halfway down into the soil, and this would be in the way, so we're going to go and take this one off as well. And just like that, we left a little chunk to allow for some dieback. I'll leave this one on. And you can do these as big or small as you want. You're going to see we're going to do some smaller ones. It'll just take that much longer to grow. 2 years ago when I got it, it was probably about that big. And so it's quadrupled in size. And this is the first time I'm ever actually trimming it. So go ahead and keep going. And if there's one in your way, just take it out. Messed it up. There we go. Make sure you put them all the same direction. Make sure you note which way is up, which way is down, because if you plant one of these cactuses upside down, it's not going to grow underground. Just like that. Yeah, and the reason I'm doing this is because I like my cactus to kind of be straight up and down. Certain varieties are going to want to bush, but with propagating and pruning, you can really maintain them. I find when they get really bushy, a lot of the leaves that die get stuck in thorns, and it's a nightmare getting them out without getting stabbed. But these are really cool plants. They're super easy to grow, low maintenance. You can find them at any plant shop, indoor, outdoor. They aren't cold hardy at all. So I either bring mine into the garage. Like I think I had it in the greenhouse all winter last year, and it did amazing. And you see how many cuttings we're getting from these. Really easy to propagate. All cactus and succulents are fairly easy to propagate. Now I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. You can either propagate them and give them away, or you can, toss them. But just be careful with these thorns. Throwing them in your neighbor's yard or anything like that could really, even in the trash can. You might want to put them like in a paper, like a cardboard box, and then stick them in the trash can. I mean, it's pretty rough. I'll go a little bit closer on that one. All of these will die back, shrivel up. We'll be fine. Kind of looks like a spiky Brussels sprout right now. Yeah, I want to focus all the growth up top. I want to make sure it's kind of grows like a tree. These will get big. I mean, they'll get as big as you let them. This one right here is even a little bit low, so we're going to go ahead and take it off as well, just like that. You don't have to prune the leaves off, but once we're done, I'll show you what happens. The leaves are going to die and fall off anyway. So the cactus is done being trimmed. We're going to put this in a spot where it has time to callus over, where it's not getting rained on, so it'll stay in the garage until it calluses over. We're going to take our cuttings, actually, and we're going to sit these in a cool, dry spot. What happens is, so if I were to take one of these cuttings right here, if I were to take one of these cuttings and go stick it in some soil, and it hasn't had time to callus over, that opening, think of that opening like a wound on your skin. It's just going to allow bacteria, infections, mildew to come into your cutting. So you want to set these off to the side, let them fully scab over for about a week or so before you do anything with them. It'll probably end up rotting if you don't, So just be patient, let it scab over. This is actually my spiral cactus that I trimmed basically the exact same way last week. And you can see that it's fully scabbed over, starting to heal up. It looks beautiful. Before, it was just as bushy as this crown of thorns. And what I did is let the cuttings scab over. What I did with the cuttings is I sat them on a rack in my garage under my grow lights and let them scab over for about a week now. And here is our cutting. Just like that. It probably came off. This was loaded. But I love the spiral pattern. It's just as spiky as the other one. We're going to go ahead and get this one propagated. I'm going to show y'all how. All right, so we got a pot. It's the appropriate size. I always try to use a porcelain or terracotta pot when I'm growing a cactus like this because it grows so tall. You don't want it to be top heavy and fall over. And they do grow fast. This is less than a year old. I got this less than a year ago. So we got our pot. It's got a drainage hole. You definitely want to make sure you have a pot with drainage. And we're going to be using Soul Soil's Cactus and Succulent Gritty Mix. First thing we're going to do is apply a layer at the bottom. Just a little bit. We're going to bury this pretty deep. And I'll go a little more. All right. And we're just going to pour it in on top. All right, I'm gonna take a chopstick and kind of get some of these air pockets out. It's leaning a little bit, which is fine because it was coming off the side. But once we get it potted and out in the sun, out in the greenhouse over winter, it'll grow more straight. They tend to like to grow straight. So we're gonna get these air pockets out. Soul Soils makes a lot of cool products. They make house plant mix, they make orchid mix, and this cactus succulent mix is one of my favorites. That's pretty much it, guys. I mean, that's all you got to do. So what we're going to do now is we're going to set it here in the garage because it hasn't established a full root system yet. We're going to water it probably about once a week. You don't want to overwater it because you'll start getting some rot. But once a week, it's going to be over here next to my grow lights, next to my other cuttings and stuff. Within the new year, probably spring of the new year, we'll probably see more new growth coming out the top. And I'm really excited. I'm falling more and more in love with cactuses. They're really cool how many different varieties there are to check out. And so I just look out for more cactus videos from me. I'm excited about them. So appreciate everybody hanging out. If you want to see more videos like this, drop comments down below, and I'll see you on the next one.